Now we look at SD 50.24, Bahuditara Sutta, or Bahuditi Sutta, the discourse on the one of many daughters, as 7.10. Right here we have another of the famous member of the famous family of Bharadwaja. Now this particular sutta is very interesting. It's a kind of a shorter version of the Daniya Sutta. We have already looked at the Daniya Sutta earlier, which is 50.20, a very beautiful, what's called a kind of idyllic kind of ballad, okay, a very happy kind of teaching on simple happiness. So here too we see that kind of, it's a dialogue, okay. Now in the Daniya Sutta you see Daniya singing his happiness. He is very rich and wealthy, everything is good, with his family is good. He says one verse and the Buddha replies with another. The Buddha talks about on the spiritual level of happiness. So it goes on like that, back and forth. Here we see this, well, his nickname is Bahuditara Bharadwaja, the one with many daughters. So we see this Brahmin uttering 10 verses, let me see, 7 verses, and then the Buddha responds with 7 also. All right, so let's look what this Brahmin has to say. Page 79, the discourse to the one of many daughters, as 7.10. At one time the Blessed One was staying in a certain thick wood. Notice the forest. At that time 14 oxen of a certain Brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan were lost. Then the Brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan, seeking his oxen, came to that thick wood. There he saw the Blessed One sitting cross-legged, keeping his body upright and keeping his mindfulness before him. So in other words, he sees the Buddha meditating. I mean, if you see such a sight, it's very beautiful. So, but then he goes to the Buddha and speaks to him. Seeing the Blessed One, he approached him and standing in the Blessed One's presence, uttered these verses. Right? So here you see the Buddha or any good monk today as being present, available to us. We can go up to him anytime and talk Dharma. A monk will never tell you, sorry, come another day, I'm busy, or you have to have an appointment. They're always there, ready for you. Right, so the Brahmin approaches the Buddha while standing. He addresses the Buddha in 7 verses. Verse 1. Surely for this recluse there are no 14 oxen, not seen for the last 6 days. Hence this recluse is happy. Like, notice his language. I mean, he's talking the third person, kind of like, he's just reflecting. He's saying, well, you must be happy. So he doesn't say he has lost anything, but from what he says we know, okay? So he's relating, he's looking at, he's admiring the Buddha. He says, well, you must be happy, you didn't lose anything. Then next verse, S649. Surely for this recluse there is no bad field of sesamum, some single-leaved, some with 2, hence the recluse is happy. Right? So you begin to see here this Brahmin is talking about his livelihood. So first of all, what brought him to see the Buddha is because he has lost something, the most precious thing you can have in those days, cattle. So he's lost 14 of them. That's quite a lot, if you like. So then next thing is his harvest of sesamum too is not very good. The leaves are not growing properly. So you get a very good idea of agriculture here also. So in fact, to the Indian scholars, documents like this are very useful as what's called for the social history of India. So that's verse S649. Now S650, the Brahmin continues and says, surely for the recluse there are no rats in an empty storehouse, briskly dancing around, hence the recluse is happy. Right? So now we can do a bit of almost humor here, but it's actually quite tragic. Even his grain has been attacked by vermin. I mean, his storehouse is full of rats. They're briskly dancing. Say, usolhi kaya nachanti, dancing. Then next, S651, he says, surely for this recluse there is no floor mat that is for 7 months infested with vermin swarm. Hence the recluse is happy. Right? So he says, well, I have to sleep on the floor, and this mat is full of bugs and so on. But you don't have to sleep like that. You must be happy. Then next verse, 652, S652, surely for this recluse there are no 7 daughters who have been widowed, some with a son, some with 2. Hence this recluse is happy. So this is really sad. We don't know. We're not told why. What happened? He's got 7 daughters, and all the husbands are probably dead or left them. So they have children to raise. So imagine this Brahmin is apparently he's the only breadwinner. So he has to support his daughters too, and their children, his grandchildren. So he says, look at me. I have so much things to do. You must be happy. So this is where the Tattva Sutta comes from, the many daughters. As 653, surely for this recluse there is no tawny speckled wife who wakens the sleeping with her foot. Hence this recluse is happy. So it says, well, it didn't refer to the wife directly. It just says, here there's someone who's speckled. But, in the Indian language, you have masculine, feminine, so you can know. Here it's referring to the wife. So he's saying you have this dark, ugly wife, who really love him, kicks him to wake him up to work and so on. They say, well, so this happens to me. So you must be happy. You don't have all these problems. And then his last verse, S654. Surely for this recluse there are no debt collectors at daybreak, berating, pay up. Hence this recluse is happy. So that's the last problem, owing people money. Okay, so it says, wow, you must be really happy. Okay, so I mean, you can't. It's difficult to not to show your feeling when you see the Buddha is so peaceful, right? So here the Brahmin is saying, oh, you're a very lucky man. What does the Buddha say? All right, so the Buddha replies in 7 verses, starting with S655. The Buddha says, indeed, Brahmin, there are for me no 14 oxen, not seen for the last 6 days. Hence, O Brahmin, happy am I. So he's telling the Brahmin, yes, you're right. S656. Indeed, Brahmin, there is for me no bad field of sesame, some single leaf, some with 2. Hence, O Brahmin, happy am I. Right? So he's just responding, saying, yes, you're right. Telling the Brahmin, you're right. So it's a good feeling when a great, peaceful person like the Buddha telling you, yes, you're right. In other words, he's not merely imagining it. It's not something. Sometimes you tell friends will tell you, oh, no, it's all right, don't worry, all this thing, as if there's no problem. But the Buddha said, yeah, these are real problems. That's why you see me here, peaceful. Then the Buddha continues, S657, he says, indeed, Brahmin, there are for me no rats in an empty storehouse, briskly dancing around. Hence, O Brahmin, happy am I. S658, indeed, O Brahmin, there is for me no mat that for 7 months infested with a vermin swarm. Hence, O Brahmin, happy am I. The Buddha doesn't spend 7 months in one place. At the most it's 3 months. Then he'll move around, travel around. Sometimes sleeps in the open and just puts his robe on the ground and sleep. And the robe is well washed, it's clean. Now, S659. Indeed, O Brahmin, there are for me no 7 daughters who have been widowed, some with a son, some with 2. Hence, O Brahmin, happy am I. So the Buddha is leading a celibate life. He's very happy. S660. Indeed, O Brahmin, there is for me no tawny speckled wife who wakens the sleeping with a foot. Hence, O Brahmin, happy am I. The final verse, S661. Indeed, O Brahmin, for me there are no debt collectors at daybreak berating, pay up, pay up. Hence, O Brahmin, happy am I. So here we see a very simple kind of interactive dialogue. 7 verses by the Brahmin, 7 verses by the Buddha, and all the Buddha does actually is saying yes, affirming what the Brahmin says. In other words, the Brahmin has realized that something is wrong here. What's going on here? Why is all this suffering? The Buddha said that's the way it is, because you have taken this kind of life, you have to face it. But I have given up all this, I've renounced all this, so I'm happy. The keyword is happy here. Now we come to the conclusion, section 7. When this was spoken, the Brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan said this to the Blessed One, excellent Master Gautama, excellent Master Gautama. So he's very happy, and he speaks those famous, what's called a stock passage about turning things upright and seeing what is revealed. And the Dhamma has been taught by the Buddha. It's like holding up a lamp, and you can see things very clearly. And then he goes for refuge. I go to the Blessed Gautama for refuge, to the Dhamma. And he also wants to become a monk. May the Blessed One give me the going forth, give me the ordination. The Brahmin of the Bharadwaja clan received the going forth and ordination in the Blessed One's presence. Now there is a technical problem here if you know your Vinaya well. According to Vinaya, if a person is in debt, he cannot ordain, he cannot become a monk. But here, he is in debt, but he becomes a monk. So in other words, here we know that this story is quite early. This story happened before that rule was introduced, because there was a time when certain people, they owe money, and they kind of, once you become a monk, you don't need to pay your debts anymore. So the Buddha, I think it's the king Bimbisara who received complaints. They told the Buddha, we have this problem. So the Buddha made a rule that anyone with debts cannot become a renunciant, cannot become a monk. But here in this case it's very special. You have the Buddha and this poor Brahmin, and he has good reason to renounce the world. So this is an early story before those rules were made. And then we have the Arahat Pericope. Then not long after he was ordained, the Venerable Bharadwaja, dwelling alone, aloof, diligent, exhaustive, and resolute. And then he go on, in other words, he does his solitary practice. He meditates. We're not told how long it takes, maybe a week, maybe longer, maybe a month. But he became awakened. And then again, we have the same ending as the other Bharadwaja suttas. He directly knew birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, done what is to be done, there is no more of the state of being, and the Venerable Bharadwaja became one of the Arahats. So here you are, we see someone with so much difficulty, he's in despair, doesn't know what to do. He was lost, searching for what is lost. But he meets the Buddha. And that changed his whole life, because he realized you don't need all these things. You can be happy without these things, in fact. So he decides to join the Buddha. So here you see, in other words, what the Buddha is doing is he's saying, you have an alternative here. Right? You can take this life, or you can keep to your old life. It's your choice. Right? And if you have the opportunity to renounce, that's wonderful. But you have to decide what to do. So this Brahmin realized that is the time to do, that's the right thing to do. So he renounces the world and becomes an Arhat. So let us end our study with a short reflection. As we live as laymen, we can still practice the Buddha's teaching. Of course, there are many wonderful teachings the Buddha has given us as a lay person, whether running a family or even as a single lay person. Even as a lay person, we can still keep the celibate rules. So we have something like the 4 precepts or 5 precepts with the rule of celibacy. In other words, the 3rd precept is that of keeping ourselves celibate, just like a monk. So this kind of training helps us to focus ourselves, our heart in meditation, so that we are more at peace and we are nearer to the path to awakening, walking on it, on the path of awakening, and in no long time, even in this life itself, to attain stream winning at least. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of such karma, may we be blessed with wisdom and courage and the opportunity to aspire to become at least stream winners in this life itself. And by the power of the 3 jewels too, may we be blessed with good health and strength, wisdom and a clear mind to attain awakening in this life itself. And also let us send out our loving kindness on this peaceful occasion to our families and loved ones, and those who have been kind to us, that they may be well and happy. And to those who are practicing the Dharma, may they see the true teaching in this life itself too. And also by the power of the 3 jewels, may those who are lost, those who are seeking the Dharma, and those who are confused in any way, may they see the true teaching in this life itself too. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.